Hello everyone and welcome back to YouTube channel Duval Mafia here, and today's going to be a short video. In today's video I'm going to be talking about the Senior Bowl and what's been said at the Senior Bowl, and also talking a little bit about the fact that according to Demetrius Harvey, he stated that Frank Frangie saying that the interest that the Jaguars have in Kevin O'Connell is legitimate, and then he suggests that they could wait to interview him after the Super Bowl. So if this is true, this is basically saying that the Jaguars will be without a head coach for another 2 weeks, because the Super Bowl is still 2 weeks away at this point, and that's only to interview him, that's not even to hire him. And this to me is, I understand Kevin O'Connell's he's a good choice, or a good option I should say, but I just don't know if it's worth waiting 2 more weeks, because then you're really putting pressure. Because if you interview Kevin O'Connell and you don't like him, majority of other coaches have already moved on to different situations by that point. And your options and your pickings are pretty slim. Now, I know there will probably still be options like Jim Caldwell, Doug Peterson, and others in that room or in that group. But, make no mistake, you want the Jaguars to get the guy that they ultimately want. And I don't really know if I agree with what the Jaguars are doing in this scenario. I understand that they like Kevin O'Connell. I actually like Kevin O'Connell too. He's from that Sean McVay tree. He's young. He's a modern mind for football. Like, he's an offensive guru type guy. I mean, it's a good option. It's a good way to look at this. But I don't know if the Jaguars should have waited this long. They should have done this at the very beginning. And that just shows, that's just more on the fact that the dysfunction of this franchise is ridiculous. And mainly the dysfunction of the franchise from the front office standpoint is the problem. That's really the problem. And to move on to another part of this, according to John Reed on Twitter, there was Jaguar scouts at the Senior Bowl, but GM Trent Baalke was not seen there, and he was not present for the Senior Bowl, which is interesting to me, because you'd think that your general manager would want to be there, right, to see these guys. That's just, especially considering we do have a lot of draft picks in this draft. I mean, this is a game that you have to see the talent. If you see something you like, you have to be there to see it. So that was interesting to me, and he also said that there was a Tweety Bird at the Senior Bowl that said the Jaguars are seriously considering a front office restructuring in addition to hiring a new coach. This is also from John Reed, and John Reed is not like a top source like Schefter or Rappaport or one of those guys, but John Reed still is a legitimate source as a Twitter reporter and overall as a reporter, and I do somewhat trust what he's been saying, and this is honestly good for the Jaguars if this is the case, because this means Trent Baalke is pretty much disconnected from the scouts and disconnected from scouting future talent. And what this says to me is that it looking like behind the scenes that Trent Baalke would eventually be fired, or he would eventually become a buyout candidate for his contract or whatever it may be. But this is a good thing to see this. And then also from E. Dilla, now of course E. Dilla did miss on the Byron Leftwich thing in the past. Okay, we're not going to talk about that. But he said it sounds like TB12, who is Tom Brady, reached out to Khan and vouched for Byron as a coach and basically said that he would make a great coach and he's a great football mind. He's a great option. He's a great guy. He's a great guy overall. And this is good. This is what the Jaguars need, because they need people to vouch and basically show that, you know what, we're looking at the right guys. I mean, essentially to me, what this says is people are telling Khan that, you know what, you got to do something, whether it's Peterson, whether it's Byron, whether it's Jim Caldwell, whether it's whoever, whether it's Rich Bisaccia, just make a decision at this point. You have to start building this staff. You cannot keep waiting, Shad Khan, please. I know Shad Khan wants the best for this team, and I don't disagree with doing your due diligence and interviewing a bunch of coaches and seeing who you like, seeing who has good pros in this category and see who has cons in this category and vice versa, and basically just overall doing your research. I love that. I think that's what you should do. But we should have been doing this for the past month, not over the past week or so or the past 2 weeks. We've had over a month to do this. I don't know why all of a sudden now it's a priority to do your due diligence and look through everybody. When realistically, I mean, if we hired Byron, that would have been the best hirings of the offseason. We could have had that done a week ago. I don't know. I don't hate that Khan's trying to do this correctly and he's waiting and he's not jumping the gun. I don't hate it, but I just wish that he had a little bit more done by this point, because we are seemingly going to be one of the last teams to hire a coach. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, but it does limit your choices. we're basically automatically can't choose Brian Daboll, Eberflus, or Hackett simply with the fact that they're already gone. Not saying we were going to choose any of these guys, but it's the point that we don't have the option even if we wanted to. And that's what I don't like about waiting. I completely agree with the point of interviewing as many coaches as you can and basically seeing what you can find. I love that. I love that from Khan. And I love that idea because it shows you that he's really trying to find the right and perfect fit. But at this point, you've had 5 weeks, Shad Khan. You should be able to have at least an idea of what you're looking for at this point. So hopefully the Jaguars do figure this out. But if they do land up waiting for Kevin O'Connell in this 2 weeks just for an interview, it's just really putting stress on the Jaguars and overall the Jaguars fan base as well. Like, I understand that he wants this interview with Kevin O'Connell, but now the fact that you have to wait 2 weeks for it, is it really worth it at that point? That's up to Shad Khan to decide, and I like Kevin O'Connell, as I said earlier in this video. I think he's a good option, but I don't know if he's truly worth waiting these 2 weeks and letting someone like Byron fly off the board and letting Doug Peterson even fly off the board, and then you're stuck with options that, you know what, they're like the back burner options. They're the plan B options. That's not what you want. You want the plan A option. You want the top option. So, with that being said, I will wrap up this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. If you are new, make sure to subscribe. And as always, peace out, Duval.